Hello, friends. So, the Artemis 2 mission has been on my mind, as well as on the mind of the American public in general these past few weeks. I assume if you're clicking on this video, it's been on your mind as well. And it makes sense, right? America's long been fascinated with space, with going to space, since the 60s, right? Since the space race. And we're back, we're going to go to the moon and we're going to build a base and it's going to be really cool and all that. But something irks me about this whole thing, and I'm honestly surprised that it's not really getting talked about by anyone in leftist spaces at all. Because honestly, I don't see a way to separate this exploration of space with the politics of the American state, the United States. I mean, what? It's not a mystery why we're fascinated with space exploration. It's U.S. imperialism. It harkens back to this idea of manifest destiny, of this time when the American colonial project still was the most important thing. That fundamental aspect of our culture has not left us. We still are obsessed with expanding, with constantly going further. And I don't see why, as leftists, we wouldn't call this into question. How is this not just imperialism? How is this not just what capitalism does? I mean, this whole project nowadays, back in the 60s, it was it was more explicitly, they didn't have to sugarcoat it. It was, we are competing with Russia. We are competing with the communists, right? It wasn't really very secret back then, but nowadays, no. We can't, there's not really that sort of rhetoric anymore. It's about science now. And science is cool. Everyone likes science. Leftists like science. We think science is good. And so you put the sticker of science on it and suddenly we're just like, well, seems okay. But is this really the best use of our resources? Like, genuinely. Even putting politics aside, like, why do we need to go to space? Why do we need to build a base on the moon? I can't really see the rationalization for it. And I haven't really heard any rationalizations for it that make a whole lot of sense to me. Sure, it's cool to know about space, but is this really bettering humanity in any way? I just don't see that. I just don't see why we need to be building rockets and sending them to space. And okay, so that's not really an argument, but what is the other arguments for space exploration? It's cool. I'll give it that. It's certainly cool. It's cool that we can build rockets and, send people up there. But I feel like this sort of plays into a certain conception, a certain vision of the future of human society that is detrimental, that is antithetical to our goals, right? And I'm talking about leftists here. I assume we all want to get to a place where we have done away with capitalism, where we have done away with the state, with the apparatus of the state. And yet, we still cling to this vision that this vision of technological and territorial expansion, this shiny future where we're, living in pods on the moon and eating space food and playing space basketball. But that's just not, this whole vision just reinforces the systems that their only goals are to expand and destroy. This is antithetical to what we want. Right? What if we know the the perils of what this expansion has brought us throughout history. Technology has continued to alienate us from our labor, destroy the environment, eliminate our privacy, create horrific technological weapons with the capability of wiping out massive groups of people at once. That's what technological expansion has brought us, right? I'm not some tribalist sort of like, let's go back to the caveman days, we're here. We've done what we've done. Yes, there are benefits from it. But surely we can look back and understand that this expansion has not been productive, has not been good. In fact, we're in a very bad place. Our newest technological invention, artificial intelligence, we know how horrible that is for our culture, for our privacy. We know that this is just a tool for our corporate overlords to continue to desecrate the world and its peoples. We know this. So why are we still clinging to this? Why are we still sitting back mindlessly watching the rockets go up into space and thinking that this is really cool? It's further reinforcing this idea that is antithetical to what we want. And perhaps the last hope of this idea is in these missions to space, which call upon, again, that idea of manifest destiny, the final frontier. We must go to space. We must expand, it seems. But that's not true. And we know it's not true, and yet no one seems to bat an eye. I really think despite how cool it is to go to space, it's cool, right? But this vision of the future, unfortunately, is one that requires the apparatus of a state. I don't see a future where we're putting our resources there. I see a future where we're putting our resources towards practical things that benefit us and scientific ventures that are actually directly helpful to the Earth and to helping us live better lives. All of this space exploration, it really is just a pointless expression of power. That's what it is. And I don't want a future where that is what we're concerned with. Humanity is not here to say, here we are powerful. But unfortunately, these Artemis missions have really just revealed that we're still in a culture that clings to that. A culture that still clings to this vision of humanity that focuses on power and spectacle over human well-being and introspection. And I know that this is a hot take. It shouldn't be. If you are a leftist and you truly believe in a leftist future for humanity, then this should not be a surprise to you. And yeah, are there bigger problems for us to be concerned about? Yes, I agree. But it's still just weird that we go along with this blatant reinforcement of, and really it's a distraction. If you really care about the problems that are going on in the world, about the real impacts of imperialism, the genocide in Gaza, for example, all that this is serving to do is just distract from that, to just be a cool, shiny thing for the American public to avert their gaze to, and to rejoice in the strength of America, right? It's if you really do care about the problems, you would understand that this is not just pointless, but that it's actively making things worse. I think it truly is. That's all really that I wanted to say. Obviously, if you're not a leftist and you're watching this, you're gonna think I'm just a hater, and that's fine. You can continue to have whatever your vision of the future of humanity is, but I'm specifically talking to people here. I hope to strike a chord with people here that are genuinely invested in the future of human well-being and do not want to see the continual expansion of capitalism. And if you are on that side, I don't see why you would be just going about your day thinking about the Artemis missions as if they mean nothing, or that they're just completely innocent. I just don't think that they are. I think that we should be a little more critical of stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, maybe I'm just a hater, but I wanted to put my opinion out there because just there was something that made me feel off about the Artemis missions and just this general sort of element of our culture. So I hope that got you thinking at least a little deeper about it. I hope you engage with this in good faith. So in any case, I'll see you in the next video.